And you may want to, anyone that's not speaking may want to mute just so we don't have any background stuff going on. Okay. And it doesn't start for another 2 minutes, so we're good on that. Okay. And Trisha, when are you getting started? Do you know?
I was just approved as a practitioner, got that paperwork set up. And so I'm just going to take tons of notes today and get going immediately.
I saw your application come through. Yay!
Yeah.
She's the one that's usually on the other side. Like if I couldn't get Nicole on text, I'd just message her on one of her platforms. Hey, Nicole, can you check your phone?
Totally. I get everything everywhere.
You do. When we do this though, too, also, Trisha, I'm going to be giving you, we're going to send the replay out. I'll be making sure my list is going to get the replay as well. So what happens after this is I'll send you, hi there, whoever's coming in here. Let me take a look. I'll send you the replay link as well, Trisha, to share with your people.
Okay.
Hi, Nancy. So Nancy, you're the first person in the room. We've got it. We've still got another minute or so. Hi, Lori, until we get started. So if one of you could give me the thumbs up that you can see and hear that audio and video is good for everybody, that would be great. Just drop it in the chat for us. We're going to give another minute or two to make sure that we are giving people time to come on in. So I will check the chat in a moment, and usually there's a delay. Just let me know that all is well on audio and video. Lori, is this Lori Polly? Lori P?
Hi, Lori P.
Yeah, and I've got I can see in here. Thank you, Nancy. Okay, all right. Can you guys see the chat right now? Because it automatically defers to panelists instead of panelists and attendees usually. So are we clear? Can you guys see the chat window with the stuff that I'm typing?
Yes, I see it, Carmen, but I'm a panelist, so I don't know.
That's another thing that if you're doing webinars on Zoom, that's changed, is it's automatic to panelists and not panelist attendees. So you have to change it every time. Yeah. If you notice that, Trisha, when you're doing some of your presentations. Yeah.
Okay. Lori Polly just said, yes, I can see it now. So good.
Okay, perfect. All right. 1 o'clock on the nose. All right, let's give it a moment then. Since we're supposed to start at 1, I just like to give a couple more minutes to make sure. We've got a lot of people asking for the replay. So as always, webinars, the replays are really, really important. The recording is on. So let's just take a moment here. Dr. Todd, where are you right now? Missouri, or where are you living?
Oh, I'm in northern Wisconsin, looking at my lake as we speak.
That's
She
nice.
said it's 80 degrees there today.
Really?
Sun is shining.
Yeah, it is here too. Of course, it was like 30 something the other night and froze my basil, killed my basil.
Oh,
I'm like, I just planted them. I know. I mean, that's Tennessee for you though. Weather changes so quickly here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. I'm going to introduce, I want to go ahead and get started because I want to make sure that we've got everything in order. So I am, for recording's sake, I'm Carmen Hunter. I am the founder of the Institute for Functional Health Coaching and Carmen Hunter Health. And I'm really excited to bring Dr. Todd here today. We're going to take a moment and introduce him, but I also wanted to say thank you to Trisha. This event is for Trisha and Trisha's people. So if you got this link from me, just know that I am also going to be sending the replay out. I'm going to be providing that for Trisha as well. But today we are presenting Dr. Todd Frisch is a teacher, speaker, and author of the book, WTF, Why the Face, a Practical Guide to Understanding Health and Personality Through Facial Diagnosis. Dr. Todd specializes in functional medicine, nutrition, homeopathy, kinesiology, acupuncture, iridology, traditional Chinese medicine, and facial diagnosis. After 37 years in private practice as a chiropractor, Dr. Todd continues his mission to transform healthcare one person at a time by teaching and mentoring practitioners. He currently serves as the CEO, founder, and technical advisor for the wellness company Shape Reclaim, which is why you are all here today. So I want to throw a little bit of a disclaimer in before I hand this over today. And just say that, you're going to be hearing some language throughout this presentation where there's going to be words like patients or diagnosis or something like that. Just rest assured that this is a presentation for health coaches and wellness practitioners that are not medical doctors. And this is a safe program for all of you that we're talking to today. So Nicole is here to support us. If we have any questions about the program, she's going to be chatting with you. Please put your questions in the Q&A about the program, but hold off for just a little while because we usually can answer a lot of those throughout the presentation. So with all of that said, Dr. Todd, I'm going to let you go ahead and get started presenting. I'm going to mute myself unless something comes up, and I'll be fielding questions at the end. And there will absolutely be a replay with information about how you can get involved with Shape Reclaim today. All right, Dr. Todd, it's up to you. Welcome
Great.
and thanks for being here.
Great. So here we are. Do you want to grow your wellness business? The answer to that should be yes. So learn how to get real results with real food. And I think the most important thing is the real part. The program is real and eating real food. So many packaged products out there, it just isn't a good idea. So if you feel like I'm trying to sell you something here, I get that because I guess I am. But I want this to be so much more than just a sales pitch. So let me just kind of take you to, whoops, hang on a second here. There we go. Couldn't find myself. So that's me wearing a sport coat, which I hardly ever do. So I wrote a book with my daughter called WTF, Why the Face? And it's just a great book. I'd love to share that with you, but we're not here for that today. So I practiced almost 40 years in something that I absolutely loved. But I want to start with some philosophical points of view here and some things I'd like to share with you. And one is one of my favorite quotes from Mark Twain. He writes, "The two most important days of your life are the day you were born and second, the day you find out why." So there should be some why people out there right now. Why are you here? I mean, you have to ask that question. And I hope that we get to answer that with a lot of stuff we're going to talk about. You know, Simon Sinek talks about it starts with why. So, you know, what's your why? What's the reason you jumped into this world? And if I usually speak to doctors, but one of the things I always like to tell them, there's only two kinds of doctors: those that love money and use people, and those that love people and use money. Be the latter. Don't be the first. If you do this with the right reason, with the right mental place, you're going to do great. So I want to talk to you about. I had a mentor, and he would always share this with us, and he said there are three levels we live our lives on. The first level is their survival level, and I know a lot of people out there are probably new to health coaching, and you're struggling, you're trying to survive, and I get that. But the second level is a success level. I can help you with that. It's really not that difficult. There's things we can teach you that I can make you successful. And look, I've been successful. It's a wonderful place to be. But then he said there was a third level, and that's a significance level. Are you significant? And what you do, is it going to be significant? So again, I can help with the success part, but the significant part is something I'd like you to kind of walk through and try to obtain. I've seen many successful people that are miserable, but I've never met anybody that made a significant difference that was miserable. And I just think it's a fantastic way to look at how you're going to walk this walk. So let's start with some real issues. These are classic things you're going to see clients. I said client, I'm thrilled. Usually I say patient, so I did it. So all these things that can come at you, these different pains, the weight gain, the fatigue, mood swings, joint stiffness. And if you look at this list, only 3 of them are measurable. And that is blood sugar imbalances, cholesterol, and blood pressure. The rest of them are, you can have the symptoms and have nothing wrong with you. But the common denominator in all these things is going to be inflammation. And it's the buzzword. I want to make you inflammation specialists with this wonderful side effect of weight loss, because Shape was built as a weight loss program. My wife came to me just menopausal, gained some weight, did everything right, and said to me, "You help everybody, but you're not helping me." And I said, "Well, hon, there's nothing wrong." And she said, "Well, I can't lose weight." And I go, I said all the right things, as a husband should say, but it still came down how those blue jeans fit. And I don't like weight loss. I find it to be just gimmicky, and the effectiveness is very, very poor. But now it's my wife. And I thought, all right, I've got to take a different look at this thing. So this whole thing is all about how I got to where Shape is today. And I didn't come up with Shape. I spent 30 years of practice, and 27 years of practice, the last 10 of which Shape was part of my life. So I'm going to go through just an overview of kind of philosophically where I'm coming from, and it'll help you understand that Shape was built with some real clinical data involved. So I have this thing called a dis-ease model, and we didn't screw up there. There is a hyphen in dis-ease. There's a disharmony in our body. So basically, we all start healthy. We all live a nice long life, and we end up at death. I have no fear of death. I just, as I said, hold me first in line. But there's 3 steps that this dis-ease is going to go through. The first step is what I call a qi phase. In traditional Chinese medicine, which I'll use the term TCM from here on out, there's this term called qi. It means life force or life energy. So when we leave health, the first thing that happens is we just don't feel right. We're just energetically off. We move from there into what I call the water phase. And in this phase, you're going to have symptoms and nobody's going to be able to figure out what's going on with your body. The last phase of the blood phase, and this is where the blood tests, the x-rays, the MRIs, the CTs, we're going to show the abnormalities. But here's the interesting thing. If you can see just by this slide that you got to be 2/3 sick before medicine sees anything wrong, that is significant. And I think it's very important. And I had a paradigm shift in my practice when I had these patients, clients to you, that would come in with a myriad of symptoms, and yet everything was textbook midline normal. So I realized I had to take a different look at these people and ask instead of what's wrong with them, because medically nothing was wrong. All my tests showed normal. I had to ask what's not right. That paradigm shift just changed my life. It changed my world, because you can be 2/3 sick. The question is, how do you figure out what's not right? Do you guess? do you ask the Lord for inspiration? And that's cool. Go for it if you got it. But there are techniques you can use, and I studied a lot of them. I studied iridology. I studied TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, acupuncture, 5-element acupuncture, facial diagnosis. I ended up writing a book specifically for our shape practitioners, because they would constantly call and say, okay, I got this, and this patient, but there's nothing wrong. And we'd have them send a picture. My wife would get the picture, bring it to me, and I'd say, okay, you got to pay attention to this, and this. We'd send the message back, and they would call back and go, what the heck was that? How did you figure that out? And so we all do facial diagnosis. It's not germane today, but it's a fascinating topic. And my daughter and I put legs to it. Here's just an interesting side note. We talked about survival, and I just want to throw something in. And the number is 25. And here's the key to success. The first step to success is 25 clients. There's something about that. I have lectured to doctors for almost 4 decades now, not quite 4 decades. And they all complain, it's so tough getting going, that kind of stuff. But once they hit 25, it was like a critical mass point, and boom, everything just exploded in front of them. It's the first 25 that's the pistol. It's really hard to get there. And what you need as a health coach is a program that can get you those first 25. You want referrals. I built an absolute empire on a referrals only practice. I didn't take you unless you were referred to me. That sounds arrogant and snotty, but I didn't want to go through the explanation of this and this and this and what I do. People came in, they knew they were in for a little different kind of an approach. So it's a fascinating thing. So the first key to success is the first 25 people. Kind of hard to do, but let me help with that. So in this water phase, we call it water because there's a pressure problem. You can use the words yin and yang and that kind of stuff, but we're just going to use expansion and contraction. As you can see here, foods and symptoms have an energetic effect on our body. From a food standpoint, you throw salt on meat, it'll shrink it into jerky. Meat's very contracting. That's the premise of the Atkins diet. This high protein, it causes your body to contract. Cheese constipates people, eggs, tobacco. Think of this, chewing tobacco is different, but smoking tobacco, it will dry you out. Think of an 80-year-old woman that has smoked for 60 years that is overweight. You can't find one on the face of the earth. It doesn't exist. The energetic aspect of smoking is to contract. So what's the complaint when people quit smoking? Oh, I gain weight. Well, no, you expand because you took off the governor. So you took the governor off your engine and it revs out of control. Now, there are foods that are expansive, which basically make you fatter, make you dizzy: sugar, alcohol, drugs, chemicals, coffee, and tea. And then there are symptoms that are involved here. And they're just polar opposites: wet and dry, cold and hot, lax and spasm, diarrhea and constipation, at least gas and bloating, anxiety, anger, and depression. So you can only be on one side, right? No, that's not how it works. You can have a damp heat syndrome in your body. In traditional Chinese medicine, that's a classic term. This person has damp heat in their spleen or dampness in their spleen. What does that look like in the real world? Asthma, could be jock itch, could be athlete's foot, could be vaginitis. All those things are part of this whole damp heat situation. But the thing that's so important, and I felt was so absolutely essential for shape, is that we use real foods. And that is the key. And patients ask me, what should I eat? And my classic response is, all right, you ready? This is what you should eat. Eat foods that can spoil and rot, and eat them before they do. That's the answer to what you should eat. After that, if it doesn't fit that category, don't consume it. It's that simple. So shop the periphery of the grocery store. Don't shop in the middle. If man touches it, he screws it up. So again, this is that duality that exists, and these are the foods and the symptoms that go with it. So then we moved to another thing that kind of, I'd like to say I started, Covey talks start with the end in mind. Well, good trick as a doctor, because you have no idea where you're starting and where you're going to end. So it's an interesting thing. And same thing as a health coach. You have a kind of an idea, but the key here is start somewhere. I had a military general as a patient, and he'd always train his troops to do something. Because if you don't do anything, you stand there and you get shot. So my second key to success is do something. And it's very, very simple. Now, most medical and medically trained people are bullseye kind of doctors. And that's this target of health. The bullseye is what's wrong with the patient. So easy peasy, right? Well, what happens when everything is normal and yet you know the patient's sick and they know they're sick? Well, we have to start somewhere. We put this banner of inflammation over the top of this thing because inflammation exists on all levels. And it is the buzzword. And again, we want to make you inflammation specialists, because when you change a person's approach to eating and we add things like shape and some of the other supplementation you're going to do, you're going to see an anti-inflammatory effect. When I built this program for Linda, it was a weight loss program. And all of a sudden, all the miracles started to happen. And the first miracle was inflammation was better. C-reactive protein, all these markers that we use, these inflammatory markers started to vanish. Blood sugar balanced out, blood pressure balanced out as a result of them simply choosing a better approach. And I think that's kind of fascinating. So we're going to look at this in this target mentality. And the outer circle is pH. So it is really my starting point. And the rest of these you can kind of mix and match wherever. If you think immunity is the most important after pH, go for it. But I'm telling you, if your pH is off, you're never going to get well. So the majority of patients you're going to see, if you took 1,000 patients, 997 are going to be acidic. And when you're acidic, you steal minerals. Minerals are nature's painkillers, nature's muscle relaxers, and nature's tranquilizers. You're going to tend to retain fluid when you're acidic. So when your body's acidic, you go for a walk, you can't make your fist, and you see your socks embedded in your ankle. You produce a lot of mucus when you're acidic. And the reason for that is the body will produce this mucus to coat your internal organs so the acid doesn't burn holes through you. Those holes are called ulcers. So this is a good thing. But you're going to be clearing your throat constantly. So if that patient is in front of you, client is in front of you, I will try to fix that. And they keep clearing their throat, you can assume they're acidic. And we put something in shape to deal with the acidity. And that's the important thing, is everything I'm talking about here, I've got covered in what's in the shape product. Also, everything I'm talking about here is in our practitioner technical guidebook, and everything is also in our WTF, Why the Face book, Facebook. That sounds familiar to me on some level. But anyway, I digress. So seal minerals, produce mucus, retain fluid. But here's the interesting thing. 30 years ago, if you were acidic, they called it rheumatism. Now, we don't use that word anymore. Number one, there's no CPT code for it. If there's no CPT code, then there's no drug for it. So they had to change the name of rheumatism, and they changed it to fibromyalgia. I cannot tell you the success I've had with fibromyalgia, because they're basically acidic. Treat the acid first and watch the fibro pains go away in the great majority of patients. I remember having a gal come into me and a lot of issues, chronic fatigue. She had lots of weird symptoms going on, weird rashes in her body. She was gas and bloating, anxiety, depression, she had insomnia. And I went through and did a workup on her, and I gave her the report of findings. And I said, look, the key here, these areas, and I listed my key points. And one of them was digestion. She was very acidic. She had some liver gallbladder issues. She had some hypoglycemic tendencies, which contributed to the chronic fatigue. But I said, look, before we start, she wanted to do acupuncture. And I said, before we do that, I'm going to have you do this little $12 supplement called NatPhos. It's a homeopathic remedy, sodium phosphate. It's an acid neutralizer. And she came back and I said, I'm going to see you in 2 weeks. And then at that time, we'll start doing the acupuncture. And she was ticked. She was kind of cranky with me. And I said, look, I'll be happy to charge you a lot of money and do all this kind of stuff, but let's do this first. So she comes back in her next visit with tears in her eyes. And she said, Dr. Todd, I've been diagnosed with fibromyalgia. And I said, yeah, I know. We talked about that. I called it kind of rheumatism. No, Dr. Todd, you don't understand. I have fibromyalgia. I go, I get that, but how are you feeling? And she says, I feel so much better. Because I had already had 2 weeks on NatPhos and the majority of her symptoms went away. So people fear words. So your job is to listen to them and respond to those words. Listening, I'm gonna go through the 4 L's at the end of this thing on the ultimate key to success, these 4 L's. But again, it is pH that is the key. And here's something very interesting. We talk about our mind and how it can change our body. Listen to this. Tears of anger are acidic. Tears of joy are alkaline. You can change the chemistry of your body with a thought. And I've tested this out. I used to walk around with litmus paper and test pH of everything. And it's nothing short of remarkable. 9 of the 10 leading causes of death in the United States require an acid condition B. So if you're acidic, it is going to increase the odds of you passing from something that you don't have to pass from. Treat the pH. Second tier down is stress. And I had an attitude about this word stress. I always felt it was the medical cop-out, especially to females. Oh, honey, you're stressed, take some Prozac. You'll be fine. So now, if you take Prozac, the majority of SSRIs, you're going to gain 20% of your body weight. Tell me how many people would sign up for that if they knew at the end, at 6 months later, if you started at 100, you're going to be 120. Hey, sign me up, Now, what they don't tell you is you don't care, because what happens is you become zombie-like on these SSRIs. And look, if you're going to blow your head off with a shotgun, or you can take 20 milligrams of Prozac and not blow your head off, I'm thumbs up on Prozac. It's a good idea. However, let's take a step back and let's go through our target of health and see what's going on. So when I got over the fact that stress was a cop-out, and I thought, well, if it is real, and if it's real, there's got to be a chemistry to it. And here's the chemistry. Your stress is interpreted by your hypothalamus. It's part of your limbic system of your brain, and it communicates with your pituitary gland. They talk things over, and they send messages all over the place. To your thyroid, they're going to send your thyroid stimulating hormone. To the ovaries, they're going to send your follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone. To the adrenals, they're going to send something called ACTH, and the adrenals are going to immediately handle the stress. And there's going to be a primary reaction, which is fight or flight. It's kind of an adrenaline rush. And then there's a secondary reaction, which is to increase your level of cortisol. Now, this is an interesting thing. The adrenal gland sits on top of your kidney, and it has 2 parts. It has a middle called the medulla, which is the fight or flight. And then it has an outside called the cortex, and it produces cortisol, your stress hormone. But it also produces cortisone. So here's the interesting thing. If you're in a lot of stress, there's a huge demand for an increase in your cortisol, your stress coping hormone. Therefore, there's not enough raw material to help you with pain. So you tend to have, under stress, people tend to be in a lot of pain. They call it fibromyalgia sometimes. You can also call it chronic fatigue syndrome. Now, conversely, when you're in a lot of pain, there's a huge demand for cortisone. Therefore, there's not enough raw material to help you cope with stress. So what happens when you're in a lot of pain? Well, you get kind of cranky. I always told my staff, don't judge people when they walk through the door, because they're not in a good place. And just give them a little time. They're going to come around. They're going to be really nice people. The great majority of people are going to be that. So what happens when stress occurs in this cortisol things going on? Well, there's another thing called DHEA. It's our kind of our fountain of youth hormone. It gives us energy. It gives us our ability to convert fat to lean body mass. It's the fountain of youth hormone. Well, it's the ratio of cortisol to DHEA that has to be looked at. And you can do tests to measure this kind of thing. But what happens depends on the part of the body that takes the hit. So if this ratio is off and the brain takes the hit, you're going to feel anxious, you're going to feel depressed, you're going to have ADD. If your brain, if your immune system takes a hit, it's going to suppress it. So you're going to have increased infections, viral, bacterial, fungal. If your stomach's affected, there's actually a decreased production of hydrochloric acid. They ironically treat that with a proton pump inhibitor, which further decreases hydrochloric acid. And we wonder where food allergies come from, because hydrochloric acid is necessary to break down protein, and every food reaction is the protein in food. Gliadin is the chemical in the protein in gluten that we react to. So now we shut down the ability to break it down. So the body says that's not food, it's a foreign object, and builds antibodies to it. We develop food reactions. I'm older. I didn't see that ER is better than just OLD. But when I was a kid, nobody had food sensitivities. It was non-existent. And think of it yourself. If you're over the age of 50, really, who had food sensitivities? Well, it started after we tried to shut down this stomach acid situation. So irritable bowel, food reactions are there. But here's the interesting: pancreas. When the pancreas is not doing well because of stress, so the pancreas is to help you take carbohydrates and put it into energy production. So if it can't do that, it's going to shunt it into the next best possible place to put it, and that's fat cells. It'll actually manufacture fat cells. Under enough stress, you cannot eat food and still gain weight. This totally sucks. And people out there should be shaking their head right now. Yeah, golly, I've seen this in myself, and I've seen it in clients. So the answer is you got to deal with it. And I built into Shape many things that deal with stress, because we can't ignore that when we're trying to help some person shed excess weight. Remember, weight loss is the side effects. I think it's kind of exciting. So again, it's all about this ratio, but here's the interesting thing. That's inflammation. When your adrenals are in trouble, anything that ends in itis is going to come and pay you a visit. Arthritis, bursitis, bronchitis, tendonitis, gastritis, sinusitis, dermatitis, pick an itis, and it'll come there. So you can take your steroids, which deal with the with the issue, but it's going to bite you in the long run. You can't do it long term. So the key here is change your lifestyle, change the approach that you have, and become very significant in working with other people. I think that's kind of cool. So detox and digestion. Look, it's not what you eat, it's what your body absorbs and breaks down, and so it can absorb. And there's lots of interesting things here. I just want to share one area. It's the work of a Dr. Hans Heinrich Reckewig. And he was a German doctor, and he developed something called homotoxicology, which is the study of poison in man. It's a big fancy doctor word. But basically, he felt we all start healthy, and we all end up getting poison, and we all get cancer. Fun guy to have at a party. So where did toxins come from? Well, let's just walk through this. It comes from the food we eat, the people we know. I've never had any toxic person in my life, but perhaps you have. The thoughts we think, stinking thinking, the fat we store, and the air we breathe. Now, Reckewig said poisons come from the food we eat and the air we breathe. The last three are my thoughts. And again, he came up with this in 1936, and I don't think that thinking was there at that time. But the people we know can be toxic. The thoughts we think can be toxic. And these toxins are stored. The body will build fat cells to store toxins. This is not a good thing. So we have to get rid of this kind of thing. And he had a 6-step process. And again, this is in our PTG, physicians or practitioner guidebook, and in the book WTF. But what happens when a poison comes in your body, the body attacks it. It's got an army that sends out. It's called phase 1 liver detoxification. And this army goes on, grabs this poison, and makes it liquid. It'll basically excrete it. So you don't even know what's happening. It's great. Now, if the poison goes deeper, and the only way it's going to go deeper is either the poison is so great it just kind of whoops you, or your body is weakened. You get a cold or whatever it might be. You have a toxic person that entered your life. Now the poison goes deeper and the body has to react to it. He calls this the reactionary phase. This is his 6 steps. This is the second step. The body will react. It says, get out of here. hives, fever, vomiting, diarrhea. Those are all signs of the body reacting to the toxin. If the poison goes deeper, now the liver steps up to the plate and the liver says, whoa, I cannot handle this poison. I think what I'll do, I'll take it and I'll set it over here and I'll deal with it when I'm in a better place. And this is known as the deposition phase. This is the body doing what it knows to do. It can't get rid of it, so let's store it and I'll deal with it when I'm in a happier place. What does that look like in the real world? Well, how about a fibrocystic breast? How about benign prostatic hypertrophy? How about uterine fibroids? How about fat cells? How about lipomas? All these kind of things we men tend to grow on our body. So once at this third step, there is a weapon system that steps in. It's called the biological division in his work. And you don't want to go past this level. And this is where Oshman talks about the matrix. This is the lymphatic system. This is where the body, kind of where the rubber meets the road. But this weapon system is very strong. But if the poison does get past this system, now it goes into your cells and disrupts your cells. He calls this the impregnation phase. This is step number 4. And this is where you form abnormal cells. And what this looks like is the pap test comes back abnormal. And what is the medical approach to that? Yeah, we'll watch that for 6 months and we'll check it again. Bad idea. Don't. This is not good. This is where we as natural healthcare practitioners, health coaches can step in and we can stop this. We can stem this tide. We can actually take them out of this. So we don't want cellular abnormalities to form because abnormal cells do what normal cells do. They replicate, they reproduce. Then the next step is dangerous. You're now in the degenerative phase. You got lupus, you got rheumatoid arthritis, you got diabetes, and if you live long enough, you'll develop a neoplastic condition. And this, of course, is the cancers. And again, he felt everybody was good cancer. He was laughed at. He was ridiculed. He came up with this theory in 1936. There was no asbestos. There was no alar sprayed on apples, these known carcinogens. So we moved down our circle to the immune. And obviously we're dealing with acute infections, chronic infections, yeast overgrowth. New kid on the block, you're going to start hearing a lot about is stealth infections, these infections that kind of get into our body. They have an elective affinity for the brain. This is the pandus, the streptococcus infection that gets into the brain. So we want to do something to prevent these things from happening. How about changing our diet? What a novel idea. And we come back to inflammation. These are all inflammatory symptoms. And I build shape with got to be 2/3 sick before you get medicine to see anything wrong, and my target of health. And it's all about inflammation. I didn't build it as an anti-inflammatory program. It just hiccuped into that. And I go, well, that's kind of cool. I had to act like I knew what I was doing. So you got all these symptoms. So where do you start? Well, the first thing, don't treat, transform people. I'm adamant about transforming people. And here's the advantage you have as a health coach. We doctors are handicapped by an excess of knowledge. We're so smart, we quit thinking. This is not good. What you have is you have passion. You didn't choose this because you're going to make $1 bajillion. You chose this because you're passionate about it. That's your why. Second, you got time. I had 7.5 minutes with a patient. I scheduled 8 patients an hour. That's insanity, right? Well, I never didn't have 8 patients an hour. So, I was doing something right. So you can become very adept at how you matriculate patients and clients through your practice. But, don't lose sight of the fact that these people really, really got well. So when I started in practice, and this goes back to this whole transformation, I was labeled a quack, and that hurt my feelings, but I was helping people, and I had thick skin, at least I thought I did, but it still kind of hurt. But then I wouldn't go away, and they said, "Well, you're an alternative doctor, which means you can choose this or this," and I didn't like that much better than quack, but it was slightly a step above. And then they realized, "Wow, I'm not going to go away. I am helping people, and you can complement." And then we all became complementary practitioners. And then we spent a whole bunch of time attending CAM conferences, complementary and alternative medicine. And then, of course, that transformed and morphed into integrative medicine. Now we were just simply being integrated into the great and wonderful land of Oz. And now it's called functional medicine. And I get that. And I don't like it because I'm all about this transformation. And I want to change the verbiage to restorative medicine. Let's restore people back to where they never should have left in the first place. And this really comes down to the bio-individuality mantra that's stuck in my head. I believe you have to look at each person very uniquely. And we force that upon you with the SHAPE program. And don't take that as a bad thing. If you start 10 people out on SHAPE, within 3 weeks, you're going to have 10 different programs. Oh, that's cumbersome. No, it's not. It's perfect. It's absolutely unbelievable because you can really get in and focus in on exactly what's going on. You have a nutrition mentality. I live for this kind of practitioner. There was a time we only took doctors as practitioners. And after I met some health coaches and I realized, oh, these are impressive people. They got passion and they got time, which is the other part. You can really make a difference much more efficiently than we can as physicians. But the bio-individuality is the key to this thing. Put me in any town in this country, give me 2 years, and I will have a massive, I'll say $500,000 practice. And I'll need 4 things. I'll need SHAPE. I need why the face. I need intention. And this is the next key to success. Be intentional. When I take a supplement and I hand it to a patient, my intention is for that supplement to help them. That is powerful. You'll absolutely magnify the effectiveness of that thing. And then you got to throw in a little bit of confidence. And I can help you become confident while you get the first 25 people, because SHAPE will make you very competent. And competent and confident. So patients would come to me with this myriad of symptoms, and I'd be taking history. And in my head, I'm thinking, what are you doing here? This is so above my pay grade. This is out of my scope of practice. And then I take a breath and I just go, all right, what's their pH? How are they handling stress? How are they detoxing? How are they digestion? What's their immune system? By the time I got to the bullseye, it was gone. Things got better. My successes were so much greater than my abilities that I could only thank God that I had no other explanation for what's going on. The confidence is an interesting thing. I want to read you a quote by Ty. It was a question that was asked of Ty Cobb, who was summarily disliked in baseball. He was the best hitter in the history of baseball. So Ty Cobb was asked at his 70th birthday, and I quote, "What would be your batting average today?" Now, he batted close to 400, which is just unheard of. He replied, 290 to 300. And then was asked, is it because of 100-mile fastballs, night games, AstroTurf? He replied, nah, it's because I'm 70. That's a confident guy. I would love to have you have that kind of confidence. So where do you start? Well, you start with SHAPE. And it's a nanomolecular product. It's a bunch of herbs and nutrients to support body, mind, and spirit. Everything in that target of health is supported with something. And I'm not going to get into all the details. We can probably do that on another webinar, but not important at this point. But everything is explained in our PTG. And just go in, start with SHAPE and let the smoke clear. And then sometimes you'll have to go after some things in particular. But nice starting point is SHAPE Reclaimed. Am I prejudiced in that statement? You bet I am. And that's based on 11 years of clinical experience. So when you implement the SHAPE program, you balance pH. I put NAD-PHOS in there to help the pH. It encourages a healthy stress response. There's something called CaliPhos in there. CaliPhos is a nerve nutrient, it's potassium phosphate. I put in 3 Bach flower remedies for emotional support. One of them, the most potent that I put in there, is probably, I would go with oak. Oak makes people sturdier. But what happens, and this, I'm not trying to be sexist here, but women will gain weight in unique ways that have nothing to do with metabolism and can have so much to do with emotions. And they will put on a coat of armor to protect them. They've been sexually abused, they've been verbally abused, and they'll put on that coat of armor, fat, in an effort to not, to protect themselves from the hits. And oak will help that coat of armor come off. So it's a powerful, powerful remedy in that regard. I've got things that help you support the detox mechanism, like lycopodium, which is club moss, a Sheldonian magus, which really thins the bile of the gallbladder. We support digestion. There's lots of things in there that just help from a digestive standpoint. Lots of immune boosters. And actually, that happens almost by accident. And the key is reduces inflammation. Did not know that when I built it, but then it happened. And it was really quite exciting. And here's the cool thing. The side effect is weight loss. I think that's such a wonderful, wonderful thing. So what makes the SHAPE program different? It's not a diet or a weight loss program. I had a patient come to me and said, I'm here for your weight loss program. And here's what I'd recommend you say. I don't have a weight loss program. I have a wellness program. And part of that wellness program is something called Shape Reclaimed, and the side effect is weight loss. But they'd say, well, I got to lose weight so I can be healthy. And then there's a big timeout. Absolutely wrong. And the mental shift that they have to make is you got to get healthy so you can lose weight. Sick people can't lose weight. It's that simple. And they're usually acidic. They usually got stress issues. They got detox and digestion problems. They got immune issues. They can't lose weight because they're not healthy. So let's get them healthy. Let's restore them. Restorative medicine. Let's transform them. What a novel idea. So it's practitioner monitored. It's customizable. I'll get to that down the road here a bit. We'll explain that much more in depth. We use real food, nothing packaged. Back to my what should you eat kind of comment. We restore health on a neurological and cellular level. Again, the next slide will come up with this, but we address the root cause. So let's get into it. I built SHAPE on two premises. Now you got to understand, I had my dis-ease model, I had my target of health, and I had my wife who had some weight issues. So the premises were based on this. All diets fail because, in fact, all diets fail. That's why I don't like diets. They don't address something called a set point. So secondly, it can't be just metabolic. It's got to be something else. There are exceptions. There's the thyroid issue. I get that. But it's got to be something different. And I felt it was the brain. And that's why we changed things neurologically. So if it's the brain, what's the deal? Well, the deal is the brain gets a message that it's starving. And if it gets that message, you can lose weight until when? Until you stop the diet. And then all the weight comes back. And that's bad enough. But here's the problem. Because you didn't address a set point, you're actually going to gain more weight. So here's the classic example, popular diet. And am I slamming this diet? Sort of, but it's Atkins. It's all based on you going into large ketosis. Ketones in your urine means you're burning fat for energy. Good, right? It is trace small or moderate, but large ketosis is starvation. And when that happens, the guy comes in just 240 and he crushes it. Within moments, he's 200 pounds. He feels great. And then what happens? He eats a piece of bread. I saw a book. It was a cookbook on bread making. It says, Atkins is dead, pass the bread. Not a great title. Anyway, he eats that piece of bread and his brain says, carbos. I want carbohydrates. I want them now. Feed me, Seymour. And what happens within moments, he goes up to 240 where he was. And then the brain says, wow, you starved me. Your set point was 240. That's what I think you should weigh. That's what the brain is saying. And it says, because you starved me, I'm going to raise you to 260. So you end up being in a bad place. And then if you're female, you're depressed, I'll put you on Prozac. Now you gain another 20%. Good move, don't you think? Not a good idea. So again, we want to address that set point, which is why we have such long-term success with the SHAPE protocol. So what's the drops all about? Well, it balances brain chemistry by improving communication with the hypothalamus and pituitary. Didn't we talk about that before when we talked about stress? Yes, we did. Again, this is in the limbic system of your brain. It's the middle portion of your brain. And these two, again, communicate and they send out messages. And it isn't, and here's where I realized the miracle of what I had developed. And I'd love to tell you, I knew what I was doing and I just simply got lucky. But when the hypothalamus talks to the pituitary and they get along better, then the messages are better. So a few years back, we used to have annual symposiums every year. And our 10th anniversary was going to be this COVID year. And we had to cancel it, which was just devastating because we had rolled out a new everything. But anyway, a couple conferences before that, I put up a picture. I was lecturing on shape and things that it can do, exciting things that I saw happen in my practice. And I put a picture of a pregnant lady's tummy with a stethoscope on it. And the next slide that came up was the number 15. And I said, by show of hands, anyone that's had accidental success with fertility, would you please raise your hand? And so again here, remember the hypothalamus talks to the pituitary better, and they send better messages to the ovary, like your follicle stimulating hormone, which causes your body to produce estrogen in a proper way, or your luteinizing hormone, which causes your corpus luteum, your ovum, to produce progesterone. Many women can get pregnant, they just can't stay pregnant because they can't maintain their progesterone. So I accidentally had success with 15 couples, and they had children. And now I say, you help somebody with hemorrhoids, a certain lure, but you help somebody that's never been able to conceive have a baby. That's pretty exciting. That makes for a good day, good week, good month, good year, kind of a good career. That's significance. So I said, as a matter of fact, and we had 250, 300 practitioners there. As a matter of fact, don't raise your hand, stand up. 74 practitioners stood up in that room. I lost it. I'm crying like a baby. I'm tearing up as I'm thinking about it right now. And I couldn't go on. I had to take a break. And at the break, doctor after doctor and practitioner after practitioner came to me and said, if I could have stood 6 times, I'd have done it. So we're dealing with so much more when we transform people and when we restore them back to a place. But we're fearfully and wonderfully made. It's a biblical principle. And all of a sudden, things happen that I never saw coming. The ingredients are organic, nothing in it that shouldn't be there, safe, effective, hormone-free. Even though we're influencing hormones, we're not giving you hormones to influence hormones. What a novel idea that is. And each ingredient was chosen for a very, very, very specific reason. I just wanted to support my healing philosophy. So here is our secret weapon, and that's the urine analysis. We talked, we're going to get into bioindividuality and customizing. So if all diets fail, why do they fail? Well, they fail because I said the brain gets a message that it's starving. And there's a lot of very expensive tests you can do, but there's a very inexpensive test you can do to monitor your clients, and that is a urine analysis. We use it's called a Diascreen 10. It's 10 different markers, 5 of which indicate starvation. We already talked about large ketosis. So when you start your clients on the program, you will monitor them and you'll explain them. I need to monitor you because we have to change, so we never let your body go into starvation. And that's why I need you to come in next week and the week after. So there's patient compliance components here, which is, again, kind of a secret to success, getting people to agree with you. They come in when they understand the significance. They can't wait to say, okay, what does my urine show? What does my urine show? So if we see ketones, large ketosis, trace small or moderate means you're burning fat efficiently. Large ketosis means I'm getting a message every day, I'm starving. Protein, if you're spilling protein, means you're breaking down. It's not quite this simple, but you're breaking down your muscle for energy. These people complain of muscle weakness, leg weakness. Bilirubin means your liver's really struggling, and we would alter the eating program. If they're spilling protein, we have them eat more protein. So even though it's a restricted caloric intake with the drops, we alter that and we change their diet as it's called for. Urobilinogen is a specific indicator for gallbladder, and then specific gravity. This is all about dehydration. We enter this earth 70% water. Most of us leave and we're about 20% water. So dehydration is a greater threat to us than cancer or any disease is ever going to be. And we tell you what to do depending on where the specific gravity is, because it's a starvation marker. So again, it is, you need to do a baseline. It's vitally important. You don't want to not do a baseline and then then they come in, you do a test and they're spilling glucose and they say, you caused me to become diabetic. No, you want to know that up front. And my success with type 2 diabetes on shape is 100%. I've never failed. My first 27 years in practice, I never took anybody off injectable insulin. It was common. Better know what you're doing. And again, you're going to work in tandem with the medical community here. They like to give things to change things, and you want to give things to make people heal on the inside. Novel idea. Very inexpensive, very simple, very effective. And again, it forces the bioindividuality. So you can focus on mine and provide turnkey market, easy framework, proven healing. The success here, I want you to get the first 25. Once you get those 25 people, watch out. Your practice is going to explode. Everybody out there that has gone through this is shaking their head like, yeah, I get that, because that was it for me. And it just automatically kind of happens. Let's get the first 25. Let me help you do it. Turnkey marketing, provide all kinds of stuff, hundreds of social media images, print material, blog posts. Where does that word come from? We get 1 hour marketing consultation, free listing on our online directory. This is kind of significant national company. So when you find a practitioner and punch in your zip code, it'll populate the person closest to you. But you can pick anybody you like. You like somebody specific name, and go for it. Energetically, I'm in that. But it'll help you draw people to you, which I think is kind of cool. So we do all the work. You can focus on what you do best. And this is the passion you have. You want to live your passion. It is so essential. And here's where I'm going to throw what I call my 4 L's. And this is a key to success. And the 4 L's are this. The first is learn. One of the things I teach practitioners is something I call the faith circuit. And how this works is you, as a practitioner, have to have faith in what you do. And the only way you get faith and you maintain it is you continue to learn. If you quit learning, if you come out of school thinking you're full grown, you're going to fail miserably in practice. I promise you're going to die. You're never going to get to 25. You're going to quit and go work for Home Depot. Not that Home Depot's bad, but I have a new puppy and he just passed gas here and he's laying right by me and my eyes are tearing up and I'm crying like a baby, not from sadness, but from the most awful smell. I apologize. Anyway.
Maybe he needs a probiotic or some drops or something.
I don't know. It's like, oh my goodness, it just hit me. Anyway, back to this faith circuit. I have faith my dog won't do that again. When a client comes in, if you have faith in what you do, they're going to pick it up energetically. They're going to see it in your face. They're going to feel it in your office. They're going to feel it in your waiting room. And they're going to connect to you. And once that connection occurs, they're going to get well. And when they get well, they're going to refer. And they're going to refer, and you're going to hit 25. And that's an exciting kind of thing. So the second key L is listen. People want to be heard. Look, you're very interesting. You do different things, but they want you to be interested. They come to you because you're interesting. I was this weird witch doctor. Nobody knew what the heck I was all about. And they come and go, did you expect the headdress and incense burning in the background? No, I listen to people. What a novel thing. And I did it in 7.5 minute blocks. It can be done. You just have to be, it's called present time consciousness. Be there 100%. Don't think about getting gas on the way home from work. Think about that patient in front of you. Be totally focused on them. And they will think 7.5 minutes is an hour. I promise you, I've watched it happen. The third L is to lead. Now, actually, it should be teach, because doctor means teacher, and that's our job. But a teacher should be a leader. So you need to lead these people into a place of restored health. And the last L is got to be love. It's such a powerful word. Actually, words are powerful. And we see it so much today. And we're in such a distraught world simply because we're not practicing the principles of love. Every spiritual leader in the history of mankind taught one principle, and that was love. You can measure the vibrational rate of the word love. Michael Terrell did whole tones. If you want to just walk down an interesting path, connect with whole tones. It's just nothing short of remarkable. But the vibrational rate of the word love is 528. That's what it vibrates at. Now, so what? Well, here's the so what. The vibrational rate of the word hate is about 100. Some authors say less than that, but we'll go with 100. Well, so what? Well, here's the so what. Cancer, depending on the cancer, vibrates from anywhere from 40 to 100. So if hate is the biggest part of your life, you are bringing your body down to a vibrational rate that cancer says, hey, I can live here. I like this place. That's not good. So there's nothing wrong with cancer. It's just something that wants to survive like you and I want to survive. It just brings down your vibrational rate, and your organs can't survive at that vibrational rate. So we have to change our approach. So the key to success is the 4 L's. Learn, listen, lead, and love. You got to do it. We got all this proven systems of healing. We have just amazing stuff. There's our book. We have a practitioner training guidebook. Everything I talked about is in there. We have a patient program guidebook. We have cookbooks. There's some support products. I'm not going to get pushy on those kind of things. But also what's important is I'm available to answer questions. I can be there and answer technical questions for you. If you want questions about marketing and that kind of stuff, I'm probably the wrong guy. But I can answer technical questions. Grow your wellness business. The program gets real results, real food. I think that's a good idea, don't you? What I do, I want you to embrace the word curiosity. And I'm saddened by the fact that word doesn't resonate anymore. And it doesn't resonate because we have an iPhone and something called Siri that can answer every question we have. You want to know how fast a robin can fly? You can just simply, Siri, how fast does a robin fly? It flies at 30 miles an hour, by the way. I asked Siri. But here's what it does. It takes away curiosity because it's right there on our phone. But here's what Siri can't do. It can't answer a question that's never been asked. And it can't come up with a new idea. What it takes is a curious mind, someone with passion. I have a plaque in my lake house, and look, I can turn to my left and look at it right now. The purpose of life is a life of purpose. I would say even add to it, I think it's a life of significance. Look, I know some of you are struggling. That's part of it. That's the 3 levels we're at. We have to do the struggling, but we can be successful. But let's be significant, and let shape walk you into that world of significance. It will change who you are. I am done.
Oh,
Yay,
all
good
done.
job.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Okay. So I took a lot of notes. I've been scribbling and scratching over here. So a couple of things I just want to make a point about saying is this couldn't be more timely. As yesterday I was on a walk with my partner, Andy, and we were talking about what's going on in the world today, right? How come so many people are getting sick? How come so many people are being exposed to, people who have been around specific things? They're getting, not only getting viruses, but they're having experiences of sickness, just being around people who are thinking that they could get sick, right? So I love that you talk so much about how the mind-body connection is so important. So what we think, what our mind tells our body will present, right? Super important that we all understand that. And I love that you said when you basically, this is not word for word, but when you bring someone into your space, you do that with the intention of love. You do that with the intention to listen, with the intention, and we don't use the word heal in health coaching because that's not a terminology that's safe for us, but with the intention of helping them to repair, right? Helping them to transform. So real important that that's a part of what we do as coaches, is that we understand that. The other thing you said about proteins. So when you were talking about the gliadin and gluten, right? The protein of gliadin. Remember, Dr. Todd, when back in, and I'm going to age myself here right now. Remember back in I think it was like the 60s or the 70s when soy came in as a vegetarian replacement for meat. And all of a sudden we're getting all of this exogenous estrogen into our systems. The protein of soy became a problem for people. Men started getting boobs. Women started having hormone disruption. Do you remember all that? We remember, right?
I do.
Okay. So when you were talking about the proteins and how important that is, that's with soy, that's with gluten, that's with milk proteins. Those are all inflammatory products that the standard American person is just eating with wild abandon. So I think it's really important that that's one of those things that people don't really talk a whole lot about in our industry. They don't understand how dangerous and inflammatory proteins can be and how disrupted our minerals within our bodies can be. I know, that when you said that about dehydration as well, that it is imperative that our minerals be on point for our cells to be hydrated to function properly. So I got so much out of just that alone, those things that you were sharing with us. One thing I do want to ask you, go ahead.
No, I just said spot on. I totally agree.
Yeah. So when you also said, I just feel like, I don't know, it's like serendipitous that all the things you said today, we were also talking yesterday about, stopping, don't treat things, right? People may have a symptom and then they go out and they want to treat the symptom. Like, just put this Band-Aid of this on it instead of investigating and inquiring, where did the symptom come from? So you can treat these topical things and these issues that come to the surface all day long, but who's helping you get to the bottom of the problem? And that's what coaches are so amazing at. And that's why I originally brought them to you. They have that unique ability and that instinctual ability to get to the bottom of problems.
Yeah. This is the medical model. And again, I'm not slamming medicine. Look, I have no problem with medicine. They're
right.
a place. The problem I have, they've taken their way of thinking and applied it to what they call function. It's really just green drug. Take this for that. Issues here, take this supplement for this. Instead of taking a proton pump inhibitor, now you're going to take betaine pepsin. So that mentality is not correct thinking. It's about the name and blame energy that is behind medicine. This is Mark Hyman's theory. He said, don't name and blame, but think and link. And this is where health coaches are going to I think if economists step back 25 years from now, they're going to look back and they're going to see this revolution that started in healthcare, that started with health coaches, simply because they don't do the name and blame. That's not even in their training. That's not in their thinking. Their approach is think and link. Think about what's going on, link it about what you know. And again, that's your faith circle. You better continue to learn. And all of a sudden, amazing things happen. And it's going to be an absolute landslide of incredible changes in this world. We are in a toxic place in this country and in this world because people are angry. Tears of anger are acidic. People are angry. They're inviting disease in just from an emotional thing. People are pissed off. I don't want to wear a mask. I'm sick of this kind of stuff. I'm sick of being dictated what to do. And, I won't get into the ridiculousness. Is that a word?
Yes.
But it's absolutely pathetic. And what is going to require us to get out of this, number one, people that look at health in a different way, because this didn't need to happen. And had we had enough people, had we had critical mass and right-thinking people, we wouldn't have been in this stupidity that we're now in. And the people that can make that difference, I think the quickest are the people that are not prejudiced, that have passion and have time. And that's where health coaches have this amazing ability to step right in. And it's the main reason I met a couple of health coaches in one department that I realized, wow, these people are a different breed of cat. And they just don't have a system to get themselves started. Yes. We can provide that system. We can open the door. We can walk you through this thing. It is so simple to implement. My original thought with Shape was to open storefronts all across this nation. I just take people right out of wherever and just teach them how to do this thing. And then when I started playing with it, was, okay, you better know some things. That's why, we feel health coaches, there's some certification that exists that we totally endorse, and we totally endorse them joining us. We love it. And I think we're going to see such a change with this group. And I'm thrilled to be probably the only program like this that is allowing health coaches to jump on board.
Yeah, 100%. I just want to say your screen is frozen. We're getting a little bit of drag on the Wi-Fi. So I'm just going to share a couple things for the coaches and invite any questions into the Q&A. And then we're going to share a link on how you can get involved. And Trisha, if you want to drop your link into the chat real quick. But I want to say this, as a person who's been a certified health coach since the end of 2008, I've seen my fair share of chronically ill people, complex, conditions and diseases that doctors have not been able to solve. And I will say that one of the things that was missing early on from my own, health coaching business was a system that worked with each and every client. And I quickly figured out over time, first and foremost, that we have to be careful in this profession that we are practicing a general approach. And there's a lot that goes into the definition of that. If you're new to me, reach out, and there's hundreds and hundreds of hours of training on my site. You can learn about that later on. But what I'm saying is, if you don't practice a general approach, which is to bring a system into your business that works with every single client, you could be considered customizing or personalizing your programs, your meal plans, your, whatever you're doing with your clients. So a general approach is absolutely 100% the safest method of coaching. The second thing I want to say is this, is that, I opened up a school for coaches in 2017, and 2013, we did a lot of research. 2017, started working with coaches in 2013, opened the school in 2017. But what we did was we did hundreds of surveys and polls and inquiries and conversations with coaches. And the second thing that came back every single time, number one thing that they were missing was confidence. Okay. That was the number one thing across the board. You cannot imagine, was confidence. Number two was a system that worked in their practice with every client. So first and foremost, confidence, there's a lot of mindset stuff that goes around with that, but a lot of the confidence issues can be managed and can be repaired and fixed through having a system that works in the support that you need to carry that program out. So confidence can be one of those things that comes from programming or whatnot, that you guys, if you have someone that holds your hands, walks you through how to use particular programs and systems, and you don't feel like you're alone, you get that system nailed, your confidence is going to go through the roof, and you're going to have something that works every time. So one of my favorite things to always tell coaches is stop reinventing the wheel. Stop creating something when something has been perfected that works with everyone, right? You can go out there all day long and write your own program that has meal plans and anti-inflammatory this and that. But why would you do that when it puts you at risk, when you're not the expert in that, and someone's done it perfectly for you, that's going to give you everything that you need to succeed, right? So I just want to say that if I had had a program like this when I started, I probably wouldn't have spent over 3 years creating content and methods of making my business more efficient and effective. And I would have been much more successful faster. So as it stands, we are moving into a time right now where we're reinventing ourselves across the board as health coaches. We are being censored. We are being banned in all areas. Words that we thought we could use, we can no longer use. Going out, and when someone searches for support on Google now, they're going to get a lot more conventional pages of information to get support from. It is up to you as a health coach to bring this information forward to people in a way that they can understand it, where they don't feel overwhelmed, and that they can easily access something that can change their life. Because if they start Googling inflammation, arthritis, any of the things that Dr. Todd said, all they're going to get is referrals to the Mayo Clinic, Healthline, and conventional thinking. It is up to us to make sure that people know that we are still here, even if they cannot find us. And how they find us is through word of mouth. One successful client leads to 5, leads to 6, leads to 10, you guys. Referrals, getting back in connection with your people, hearing what they need, teaching them how to listen to intuition, and using your own intuition as a coach is going to carry forward a program that you have never seen success like this before. So I'm telling you right now, we have coaches using this. My own mother recovered her health with this. I'm backing this. And for those of you, I see a couple of you that know me and have been with me for years, you know that I don't speak about anything unless I truly believe in it. I've been watching this program for over a year now. This is a solution that you need in your business. And I cannot push that home hard enough. If I was 100% coaching, I'll be done in a minute, and I wasn't mentoring and educating coaches right now, this would be my flagship program. I would be board certified. I would have this program, and I would be off and running, and I would be out in my community making a difference. So I really want you guys to put some serious consideration into this program. So with that said,
awesome, Carmen. I'm sorry.
No, I want you to talk about a little bit about return on investment type of information. Can you give some feedback?
Yeah,
on
but
that?
you go ahead and finish. I'm sorry. I'm lagging.
I'm done.
You're done.
Yeah.
Okay. That was awesome. And a super great recap. Todd, great presentation. I would love to just come in and say that my husband, Stacy, and I have a clinic in Sarasota, Florida called Thriveology. And SHAPE is literally the program that gave us the ability to change lives. We did not even have a clinic. We were not really even looking that direction. And we set up a booth at a SHAPE symposium back in 2012. And we heard these remarkable stories about lives being changed in ways that we had never in our lives heard of. And we decided, oh my gosh, what is this? We would like to do this. So Stacy, my husband, was the first non-state licensed practitioner that Todd really believed in and gave us the ability to do this program. And we started doing it in our house. And we had so much great just feedback and results that we decided we've got to open up a space. So we opened up a space, and before we knew it, we had a full clinic of people, because not only is Shape great for word of mouth, it is great for visual of body. You don't even have to say a word. You can be somewhere shopping and see someone that you've never seen in months, and they immediately say, oh my gosh, what are you doing? You look so good. You look so healthy. You look so happy. And they say, oh, I'm doing this program called Shape Reclaimed. We have literally built our entire practice on referrals. We haven't spent any money on marketing, because thankfully Shape does that remarkably well. So all of it's done for you, and you just start showing up with people offering this program. And before you know it, you will have so much interest. It's wide open. It's wide open as far as proximity goes, because you can do it online, which is really wonderful. In fact, Stacy and I have trained numerous practitioners and health coaches to do this program online. We have a whole protocol for that. So even if you want to do it in your house and you don't want to have a brick and mortar, fine. We have training available for you to do this long distance. But in addition to changing lives with people's health, it's changed us in terms of having a practice. I would say 40 to 50% of our annual revenue comes from this amazing program. So if you're a health coach and you're like, oh, I don't really know what to charge, well, Shape helps you do that. So not only are you offering an amazing program that you don't have to spend any time putting together individually for every single person, you can also make great return on investment with this. And on the page, once you click Trisha's link, which is over here in the chat, once you click her link, go to the top and click Shape Your Business. When you go to that page and you drop down, you will see different links to take you to return on investment, where literally you will see, if you purchase this package and you have 15 clients, here's what you will make on that. So just look at all of the details in terms of not only what it does for your health, which is remarkable, but what it does for you as a health coach too, in terms of revenue, because we all know we want to help people, but we also have to build a business. So check all sides of this out.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is the thing, is I don't want anyone to get stuck on the mindset idea. I don't get stuck on any mindset stuff. I want you to clear your mind before you go out there. Just go out and take a look at it. Like I like to tell my clients that I'm health coaching, I always say, think of your ideas about health and wellness like a whiteboard that's filled with all the things someone's told you should be doing or that are good for you over the years, and just wipe it clean as you walk forward into a different idea about what this could look like. I want you to do that with your business. And think about, just think about what it will feel like to have the support that you need. Dr. Todd loves to talk, you guys, to people, anybody that he can help. He's supportive. He answers questions. You get on the conversation with him. The graphics are unbelievable. The whole program has just been beautifully done. And Nicole, I can't say enough about the support that you guys will have. So alongside with that, all you really need to know is that, one more time, I just want to say this, is that there is a lot of shiny objects out there. And I even did a training. It's called Stop Grabbing at Shiny Objects. This is not a shiny object. This is not something dangling in front of you where someone's just going to give you this and then you're off on your own to figure it out. You have everything you need and everyone you need to make this successful. So is there any other questions, or Dr. Todd, is there anything else you want to share before we wrap up today?
Well, I want to share that there's one thing Stacy did that I'm not happy about, and that's he worked with a patient that he never physically met, did all via virtual. And how much did she lose?
275 pounds.
What?
That topped my best, and I've had several lose over 100 pounds, but he beat me. And I can't have that. So
it's good though. It's good though when the people you train are beating you.
Oh yeah. It's just nothing short of remarkable. When he said that, my mouth just hit the floor. I went, wow, that's remarkable. I've never seen the person. I physically. Yeah.
There is a question here. I'm sorry. I want to make sure we grab it here. Sherry's asking, is it safe for CKD, for people who have CKD?
Well, when the kidneys are involved, you're talking about chronic kidney disease. Is that her?
Yeah.
Because there's a couple other terms that can come into play there. That there's clinical things that happen with those folks, and what their kidney numbers are. That being said, I knew people have kidney problems, so I put things in Shape formula to support saga, which is goldenrod, and I put berberine in it, which both are kidney tonics. The kidney gets rid of 45% of your body's waste on a daily basis. It does the lion's share. Everybody thinks it's poop because there's a lot of it. Not the case. The kidney gets rid of the majority of the toxins, 40% of them. So you have to be respectful. So the easy answer is yes, they can do the program. The more in-depth is they have to be monitored a little more closely as to clinical changes, because we can see the body return to a healthier state no matter what's going on. When I was in school 40 some years ago, if your brain was damaged, it was never going to ever grow back. All of a sudden, 15 years ago, the term neuroplasticity came into vogue. And what that means is the brain can actually heal. Oh, well, that's been nice information, years ago. So yeah, you can do it.
Awesome. Okay. And it says here, Nancy is saying, love this webinar, Dr. Todd. I'm literally down the street from you in Manchester, Missouri. So when you're not in Michigan, which is where you are, or Wisconsin, which is where you are right now, right? You're in Missouri.
Yeah.
She said she currently worked at a hospital, non-clinical, and wanted to transition to well care as opposed to sick care. Thank you so much for the presentation. Right? Yeah. Thank you, Nancy, for sharing that. And you're going to see a lot more of that, you guys. And as a person who also works with medical doctors, naturopathic doctors across the board, I have seen more medical doctors and naturopathic doctors asking and inquiring how they can actually become a health coach and start health coaching people to get away from all of the indoctrination of the medical world. And again, it's not to say that medicine isn't important. We need medical doctors, we need them for battlefield medicine, of course, but even they are seeing the dysfunction in the industry so much more now. So health coaches getting ahead of the game on this and being able to fit into that little gap of time and space where people are making this transition is going to be huge for people. Lots of people are even afraid to go to the doctor right now, you guys, but they also need that support, and they need that person there that they can be accountable to start making changes to feel better. So we just fit into all the gaps out there if we can make ourselves available to do so.
And if you guys do have questions, just know that Shape has an online chat Monday through Friday from 9 to 9. So click on Trisha's link and you'll notice on the right-hand side of every page of the website, you'll see a little green kind of a waving hand bubble. Just click that and someone's there to answer your questions. Start there because it makes it much easier on you and on the Shape staff that they can just plug in some links. So if you have questions, they can plug in a link, click it, and you can go there in real time. And then if you don't get all your questions answered on the chat, just let the person know that you're talking to, that you would like someone to talk to on the phone, and someone will get back to you. But that chat really does help get to the heart of the matter much quicker.
Yeah. All right. I think that's it for questions and comments. And I just want to encourage you guys again, to let me make sure we got she's got her link in there, right? We're dropped in.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay. So grab the link. And then also you guys watch your email. If you came here through my email, watch for the replay. We'll include the link there and the replay. And then if you're with Trisha, she will be sending out a replay as well. And I see one more question coming in, but I don't have my glasses on.
Also, there will be some coupon codes. So don't forget to check your email, because along with the replay, there'll be some coupon codes with a 7-day deadline. So you guys get a discount on your startup packages when you decide to sign up.
Yeah. And I guess Bonnie's asking, what's the name of the clinic? What Thriveology is?
Oh yeah, Thriveology.
Yep. Thriveology. Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Todd. We appreciate it. And Trisha, thank you so much for bringing people to this webinar. And you guys, if you're health and wellness practitioners, spread the word. We are looking for all kinds of health and wellness practitioners and coaches to get involved here. And if you have anybody that wants to do a webinar, let us know, reach out to us. We're here to do this for you guys and get as many people involved as we can. So everybody have a fantastic
Thank you, Carmen.
day.
Great
Thank
job.
you guys.
Thank you,
Yes.
Dr. Todd.
Appreciate it,
Bye.
everybody. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.